Okay, guys, I want to go over how we put together this intro animation graphic right here for your exercise this time around. So I'm going to go ahead and import the SL outlines. I'm going to import that as composition chain layer sizes, just like we do Photoshop files. Otherwise, they'll come in as a flat graphic. So first thing we want to do, we want to get these vector layers changed over into shapes. So I'm going to select them all, go to layer, create shapes from vector layer, and then drag these guys just above the vector layers. We don't need them anymore, so we can go ahead and get rid of them. And then we want to go ahead and start the animation with these 3 layers. So I'm going to take all these guys and turn them off and turn on our transparency so we can see what's going on. Go to our outer circle, and we've got 2 sets of transforms in here. We've got our global transforms and we've got our shape transforms. So we want to do part of this animation based on the shape and part on the global. So first round, we're going to dive into these, use this transform group. We're going to go to 12 frames in rather. Set a key for the scale, come back, take that down to 0. Now we've got that, which is a linear transformation. We want to add a little bit of easing to that. So I'm going to go ahead and select both these keyframes, keyframe assistant, right click, keyframe assistant, and easy ease. And next thing we want to do is go into the speed graph, select these 2 points, get in here a little tighter. I'm going to take this right handle and pull it in. So all that's doing is going to make the animation a little faster here, and then it's going to ease out. We're going to do this to every single one of our keyframes as we do these. So go ahead and jump back out. And then we're going to do basically the same effect to the inner circle and our black fill. So go ahead, go into contents and group and transform group. And in here on the scale, grab these 2 keyframes, copy them, paste them. So now I've got that same effect with my black fill. Go up here to inner circle, twirl it down, contents, group 1, transform, select the scale, and paste those. Doesn't look cool. So next thing we want to do, we kind of offset this guy a little bit, our inner circle. So we'll go to about 4 frames in and drag him over. So we kind of got that repeating kind of look to it. That works. Let's twirl these guys close. We're all done with them. Make them, you can change the color if you want to. I like to do that sometimes just to keep things sorted. So change them green. So the next thing we want to do is we want to deal with our text. So we want to make it so that the skate kind of hides behind this line, the life kind of hides behind this line. So we're going to need to create a mask to do that. One way to do it is by creating a solid. And I'm going to make this guy 500 by 300. And we'll just call this mask. Okay. So I'm going to take this guy, move him right over top of the life, and open up his position, scoop him down. Go in here, and I want to make sure it's just right at that line. And I'm going to close him up, and I'll go to my track matte right here, and take life and add an alpha matte mask to that. Basically what that's going to do, where this mask is the life is going to be visible, but as soon as it moves outside of this, because it has this mask controlling it, it's going to disappear. So turn this guy off. Now I'm going to jump over here to about 1 second and 4 frames. So I'm going to go 1 second 4 frames to 1 second 12 frames. Actually, let's go ahead and jump to 112. So at this point, I'll pull up my global position. So I'm not going to be dealing with the group position in here. I'm going to be dealing with the global because I've got several groups. All of these are considered individual groups on this one shape layer. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go to my positions, keyframe, go back to 104. I'm going to move this guy up and hide him just behind the line. So now he comes into view. Same kind of deal as before. Grab both of these keys, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease, or you can just hit F9, jump back into my speed graph, grab both, pull the handle over, done. Okay. Turn off speed graph. Go ahead and leave these keyframes up so I've got them. I can jump back and forth with J and K. And I want to do the same thing I did here. So I'm just going ahead and duplicate this mask, move it above the skate outline. And I want to take this one and turn on the track matte for the alpha matte mask. So this time, actually turn on the mask and position it just above that line. Okay, turning back off. So I'll set a key. Let's go ahead and close this guy up, pull up position for this one, set a key there, hit J to jump back, and I'm going to move this guy down below the line. Just like that. Grab both keyframes, keyframe assistant, easy ease, go to speed graph, grab them both, drag my handle over, done. Back out of speed graph. Okay. So now I've got that part animating in. Okay. So I can go ahead and take these, make them green because I know I'm done with them. So now I'm going to be dealing with my center line. I want my center line to kind of grow out. So that will take from 1 to about 112. So we'll go back to 1 second. Line, transform. I'm going to use the global scale for this guy. So if I go over here to 112, key for scale, back to 1. I'm going to unhook this chain, otherwise it's going to scale in both X and Y, and I just wanted to scale in X and hit 0, so that now it comes out just like that. Same deal, grab both keyframes, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease, back to my graph editor, grab both keys, drag this guy in, done with that guy. Okay. Go ahead and make him green. Okay. So now I'm going to deal with these skateboards. So in the original animation, the skateboards kind of come in and then they open up and show the logo. So for these guys, I'm going to have a little bit of both. So I'm going to use some of my group transform and I'm going to use some of my global transform. So one for each, basically. Go ahead and open these all the way up. Okay. Okay, so first things first, at 112, I want my group position for both of these guys. Have keyframe there, keyframe there, go into 1, and I want to bring both of these guys in. So if you don't have your tile action safe on, make sure you turn that guy on. So you got this little cross right here. This is how we're going to kind of line it up. So we're going to take the top guy and bring him in till his edge is right on that cross. About like that. Same thing with my right skateboard. I'll bring him in until he's right on that cross as well. Okay, grab this one, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease, speed graph, select them both, drag this guy over. Same thing up here, grab them both, keyframe assistant, easy ease, speed graph, and drag my handle over. Okay. So we're done with the group transform on that one. Go ahead and close that up. We do have some global stuff we want to do. We actually want to affect the scale from about 10 to 18 frames. So we'll go in here to 18. And I'm going to go ahead and set a key for the scale here, key for the scale here. Go over to 10 frames. And I'm going to set this to 0. And this guy to 0. Same as always. Select them both. Keyframe assistant. Ease. Speed graph. Drag them over. Up here. Keyframe assistant. Easy ease. Speed graph. Drag him over. Okay. So now we are done with these guys. Make them green. Okay. So we're almost there. So the last thing we're going to need to do is add that little bit of twirl on the inside. So we do that by adding a null object. So we'll go back to our comp, right click, new null object. And then on this guy, we're going to use him to kind of drive the animation of all of this stuff in the middle. So go ahead and grab my skateboard outlines, mask, all the way down. Don't want the last three, just these inner guys right here. And if you don't have it showing, make sure you right click out here, go to columns, and you want to see parent. So we're going to parent all of these to this null and use that null to drive the last bit of animation. So we'll change this to null. Okay, so for our last bit of animation on this guy, we want to open up the null transform. So we're going to be dealing with the rotation, and we're going to be dealing with the scale. So I'm going to jump to 1 second in. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to affect the scale. So at this point, I want to have this set to 100, go in here to 18, and I want to set the scale to 150. So I'm going to grab both these guys, keyframe assistant, ease, speed graph, grab them both, drag this guy in. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to go to work on the rotation. So go to 2 seconds in. And I want to key my rotation here. Go back to 1 second and change this to 90. So now grab both keyframes, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease, back to my speed graph. Grab both of these guys, drag him in, back out. Now, got my graphic. Okay, make sure this is about 10 seconds is about all we want, because that's typically about how long a title will stay up. It's about how long a lower third will stay up. So one other thing I wanted to show you was we not only use this for our main graphic, we could also use it for our lower third. So if I took our base footage and I want to actually build a lower third, I'm going to use this animation. So I can take the animation, drop it in here. And if you remember, we talked about the action safe and title safe. So our lower third should sit text-wise, should probably sit right around here. So I'm gonna go ahead and come in here to where my graphic shows up. Go scale. Take him to about 33 and drag him over here. Something like that. Maybe I'll make it a little bigger, maybe a 38. And just sort of fit him in right there with that action safe. Okay. So next thing we want to do is we want to add a name here. So I'm going to go ahead and all right. I'm going to kind of stylize this just a little bit so it matches a little bit more to our logo. I made this one with agency, so I'm going to use that font. Agency regular. Make him a little bigger, about 75. And then the reason I put these right next to each other is I'm going to take the variant font, which is the bold version of agency, for the last name. So create kind of a little bit of a look with it. Okay. And we'll probably go over here, make sure we've got, I'll put a drop shadow on this. Okay. And I'm going to put like a little bit of a bar underneath here. So if we go in and start the bar right about here, we can tweak him so far as length. Go into our position, pull him over or something like that. And move that below our graphic and our text and kind of line it up. Something like that. Okay. So a few other things we can do. We want to go in here. I don't really like. Well, maybe we'll keep the stroke this time. If we want to change the color, we can go inside. Just like we were using the shape layers over here with the graphic, this is the shape layer, so we can change the fill and the stroke if we want to. So I'm going to go into the fill and make this something like that. And actually, I might go into this drop shadow and kind of increase the opacity, make it a little softer, change the distance to a little closer. And not quite so close. Okay. So last thing, we probably have this lower third kind of disappearing. So we could make a mask to kind of make it kind of fade off. Now, if you're using shape layers, you can't actually draw another mask on this, because if I did, all it would do was just create another shape. So what I'm going to have to do is, if I'm kind of content with where this one is, I'll take this layer and I'm going to pre-compose it. I want to make sure to move all attributes in the new comp. And then I can go in here and actually draw a mask over this guy. Change it from add to subtract. And hit F to bring in feather. And feather that edge. And if you start to see some on the top, you don't want to do that. You can just make your mask a little bigger. And I'll take that out. So now I've got my lower third done here. Now, if I want this to kind of animate in with my text, I can kind of find the point where I want this text to spin out. I know that this ends after about 2 seconds. So if I punch in here a little tighter, say I want maybe about this point, as this is starting to ease over, I want this to pull out. So then you take the name and the outline and basically use another solid to use as a track matte mask. But since these are two separate layers, I'm just going to go ahead and pre-compose these guys. Actually, these guys right here. So layer, pre-compose, and just call this text bar. Okay, now that I got those two guys pre-composed, I'm going to create a new solid. Just call this guy mask again. And essentially all I'm wanting this to do is to control visibility from here over. So grab my text bar, alpha matte mask, and then maybe I want it to be totally out at 2 seconds. So I go in here to my position, and then about here, I'm just going to take him and pull him out like that. So got my lower third, just like that. And we talked a little bit about essential graphics inside Premiere. You can use the presets in there, but just wanted to show you how to kind of set this stuff up in After Effects so you would have a reference for it. So basically all you would need to do, if I go ahead and save this guy, would be just to import this After Effects comp into Premiere, and then it'll give you the option to import the project into Premiere and give you the option to bring in the comp. So just make sure last thing you give it some kind of a memorable name so that you know which one you're going to be bringing in. If I'll call this one lower third, and if we go ahead, open Premiere. Okay, so I've already got the project set up in Premiere, so I'm going to go ahead and import that lower third. Go to my animated graphic, open, it'll give me this dialog. So I know that if I jump back in here to After Effects, let's go ahead and get rid of that one and save this again. So I know that I'm going to be importing my lower third and SL outlines, which I'm going to call my main graphic. Into Premiere. Let's just go ahead and do that again real quick. Animated graphic, open, and I want to import main graphic. Same thing again, and import lower third. So now I can drop my lower third. Probably because I forgot to trim this guy off, I'll just go ahead and knock him to there so that it goes away. Just like that. Okay. Ooh, forgot somebody. Let's jump back over there. One good thing about this is we can actually, so we still had a little bit kind of showing up. We can actually fix that by changing the size of our mask, change the position of our mask rather. Just like that. May need to actually keyframe that. We'll see when he comes in. Yep. So then move him back over, just so nothing shows up. So no harm, no foul. Okay. But the good part about that is you save that, jump back into Premiere, it's gone. So it's always going to update. So it's easier to kind of set things up like this. So if there's any kind of issues, you can fix it. If you wanted to go back in here even and let's say maybe change the color of the text bar. like if I wanted to put a ramp over top of this or something. So throw that on here. So at the beginning, here, end. Actually, even let's bring that closer because we've got a fade. Somewhere like here, and I want this color to be that a blue to a white. So now it's kind of like that. It updates. So makes it easier to change stuff that way. Drag this over and take our main graphic, drop him here. Now this guy was 720 and working in a 1080 project here. So for purposes of this one, it's not that big a deal, but depending on what you're working on, you do want to make sure that they are the same resolution. So it covers the same amount of the frame. It's like in this one, it's a little bigger. So, but that just kind of give you an intro, give you something to work with, and let you practice a little bit with motion graphics. And if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have fun playing around with this, and we'll talk about some more advanced stuff when we get to the next project.